We're here to talk about the potential fallout, though. Jefferies chief market strategist David Zervos also said to be on the list of possible next Fed officials. David, it's great to have you. Welcome. We had a long discussion about the absence, at least so far, of an actual charge. What should she do?
Well, that's a tricky question. I think it's a complicated time. It's unprecedented, as you guys have said. Although, as you were just discussing, we've seen 3 different cases, and in fact, you could add in the Jeffrey Lacker case in 2017 of Fed officials, presidents, and members of the board that have had allegations against them that led to their departure in a pretty unceremonious way. So it's not that uncommon that we have some problems or some violations. The real question is it a violation? Did she violate? And does the president have the statutory ability to fire for cause? I think the Supreme Court will adjudicate that, and I presume the Justice Department or the courts now will determine whether she actually did commit any sort of crime.
Right. How do you think that the carve-out for the Fed that SCOTUS has already given us might be applicable here?
You know, it's a tricky one because it was a tough one to read, that the Fed had this special privilege that really was hard to get to the bottom of in that reading when they allowed the FTC and the FCC and the CFPB heads to be fired. So I think that'll be interesting to watch. But I mean, there is a more general thing away from that, Carl, which is about just the sort of right of the president to fire for cause and testing that with the Federal Reserve. This is untested. So I do think that needs to be seen in the Supreme Court. Does the president have the right to do this? In the law, he does. The question is, who determines cause? What is cause? Is this cause, is this a high enough bar for cause? I guess is the real story.
David, to the broader question of Fed independence, and certainly what is the president's focus on at least exerting some level of control over the Fed, as somebody who's on the list of potential candidates to succeed Jerome Powell, I'm just curious as to how you think about it. If we wake up one day and David Zervos is Fed chair, are we going to sit here and say, oh, he's going to be Trump's puppet?
Well, I'm sure there will be people that say that. They say that about a lot of other people in the administration, and I certainly think you just have to thicken up your skin when you get to this town, Washington, D.C., and do your job. And your job at the Federal Reserve is to focus on maximum employment, anchored long-run inflation expectations, and price stability. And also recognize, David, something that I think is not recognized often by most people in the markets and most people that comment on the Fed, which is that there is a natural level of non-independence in this institution. This institution is a political institution, and you're going to get political pressures from all sides, from Congress, from the White House, from your own colleagues. And right now, I would argue, David, that inside the Fed, a decision to keep Lisa Cook in the event that she does have potentially charges against her that are valid, if they were to find that could be a political decision to keep someone on that is moving against the administration. So there's pressures inside, there's pressures outside. Politics operates in many different dimensions and directions in this city. It's not just unilaterally, let's protect the Fed from the president. We've got to think about all the politics that come from the Senate, the House, and also the internal personal politics that are on the board today. And those are large vestiges of the past administration.
No doubt. But I do wonder, David, whether the president's public campaign to get rates lower and, things that have been unprecedented in terms of his public attacks on Jerome Powell and obviously this move against Governor Cook, does it impact broader markets, in your opinion, in terms of the perception of Fed independence going forward?
Well, I don't think it does. And I think you can see that. Inflation break-evens in the tips market haven't adjusted significantly. Curves are a little steeper, but they're steeper all over the world. We're seeing it in the UK. We're seeing it in Australia. We're seeing it in Germany. So I don't think there is a question about credibility that's coming in here. I think there are reasons why term premiums may be rising globally, but that could be observationally equivalent to a lot of things that people might throw out as questioning Fed independence. I think as for the administration talking about its views on rates, why shouldn't we have an administration that talks about its views on rates, especially if they've got views that are helpful to the discussion? And I think they are helpful to the discussion in many ways. The administration officials' views that have talked about inflation not being as big of a problem post the tariff announcements and the rate structure being more restrictive than it likely should be have kind of been vindicated by what Jay Powell did in Jackson Hole. He basically said, you know, you guys were right, which is what Chris Waller has also been saying on the board, and that's why he dissented, as did Mickey Bowman. So I don't see any problem with folks in the administration having discussions about one of the most important things in our economy, which is the level of interest rates. I mean, I think it's open game for everybody.